Welcome to this episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. I'm Eric.
And I'm Angie.
We are married with a ton of kids.
We have 6 kids total. He has 3 and I have 3.
My name's Hallie and I love riding horses.
I'm Lexi and I love agriculture.
My name's Carter and I love eating.
My name's Chase and I love lifting weights.
My name's Summer and I love spending my parents' money.
I'm Dane and I love baseball.
Our show is about our blended, blessed, and always a mess life. And our hope is if you find yourself in the same situation we are in, that by sharing our story, all the fun and all the mess, the challenges we are experiencing, it will give you some inspirations, laughs, and community, knowing you are not alone in this mess.
We appreciate you spending time with us. Let's dive in.
Welcome to this week's episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess, where we are... It's been a messy week from the fact that we are busy, and it's Friday night that we're recording so that we can drop this on Sunday. We've been to St. Louis today for Summer's Final Four state soccer match, which we lost, but that was to an unbelievable team. So hats off in that regard. So they'll play for third place tomorrow. We'll go back to St. Louis. Dane's been playing baseball all weekend, and we've been working like crazy on several different projects, it feels like. So welcome to this week's episode where we have a lot to cover in all kinds of different realms. And I think first we want to catch you up on a few things before we dive into something that we've talked about before, finally happened, and is very exciting.
And I just woke up from a fat nap, as my kids would say.
PHAT, fat nap.
Oh,
we were driving home.
Nap.
No, she doesn't. We were driving home from St. Louis, and she was like, I feel like my body is shutting down. Which is always good when she's the one driving. And I'm like, wait, what? So,
well, that was after you woke up from your nap.
It was like 10 minutes.
But you guys ever, there are times where I get so mentally, physically, emotionally exhausted. And my body, I feel like just stops functioning. Like, I don't want to talk. I really just I need to go lay down. And so we got home at, 4.
It was about 4 o'clock, and you were like, I'm going to go lay down in the bed. Yeah.
I'm going to turn my heated blanket on. I'm going to lay on top of my covers so the bottom's heated, get my little blanket and my pillow. And then I woke up at 6:15.
Yeah. I went to work because I had some work to do. And I went to work for about an hour, 15 minutes, got home. She was out. So then I went and got some mileage in for an hour. And when I got home, she was waking up. So
yeah. So here we are. I think we first should just talk about boundaries. So when I think about topics for the podcast, there's a couple of things that jumped out. Boundaries, letters that we received, and our Phoenix photo shoot disaster. Those are like the 3
not
things.
A disaster. It's not a disaster.
You were not there. You were not there. And you also were not in my mind, in my head during the photo shoot. In my mind, it was a disaster.
In your mind, it was a disaster. To me, and when all the listeners end up seeing the photos, we're going to be like, that was not a disaster. But
because our photographer.
And we'll get, sure.
Yeah.
We'll get to why you feel like that. Yes. Yeah. But let's start with boundaries and how to set them, because it is a healthy thing to do, as both you and I have learned over the last couple of years.
Yeah. And I think as this grief journey continues, it's almost like setting boundaries gets a little bit harder. And here's why. Early on in the grief process, I would say that first year, you literally can't function mentally, physically, emotionally to do things. So no, I can't go, or no, that's not going to work out for me. It's so much easier because you can't. It's just I can't. I'm not doing it. And what I would say, though, as time goes on, it gets a little bit harder because of this narrative in your head of, well, I should be better, or, I shouldn't be so sad. And I think anybody that even maybe struggles with depression or anxiety or whatever, these are all little stories that you tell yourself in your head. People are going to think something's wrong with me. I should be better by now. Get it together. You should smile. You're going to make them feel uncomfortable. Act like you're fine. No one's going to want to really be around you if you're freaking sad all the time. These are all things that, I think is probably common, runs through people's heads. So I will also say that there are just core memories that are ingrained in your brain, whether they're your own experiences or or experiences that you've had with your kids. And one that I have had of Hallie, like top 10, probably core memory, beautiful moment for her, was Levi's baptism, which it was kind of a little bit surprising, I would say, initially. When Hallie was asked to be Levi's godparent, I knew she would be excited. I mean, I knew she'd be excited, but I didn't know. I was surprised at how honored she felt. I mean, it was the first, like, you don't really know, how they're going to feel about it. But I was really like surprised because of how honored she was. But that's not the core memory. The core memory was at Levi's baptism because she had this glow about her. Like, she radiated pure joy. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, the core memory in my brain is her very intently standing next to you when they were doing the actual baptism. The way she looked over at you while you guys were like conversing a little bit. She was smiling at Levi. She was like completely beautifully locked in this whole experience. And I have a video of it. Like, it just was a moment.
I think even going back to so if you're new to the podcast, you don't know, Levi is mine and Angie's nephew, my baby sister's firstborn. And I go back to when they asked, it was supposed to be me, you, and Hallie meeting them for dinner. And Lauren and Matt, my sister and brother-in-law, were going to ask me and Hallie to be godparents. And you knew that. But then Summer had a soccer game run long. You couldn't go. So Hallie and I met them for dinner. And when they asked, we were both overjoyed. She was ecstatic. She was so excited. And she was 100% all in on her role, took it so seriously. But you're right. There was a difference about her and everything that she did with Levi in mind. And it was just, you could tell if you got around her. And so it was beautiful. And I remember her too, standing up at the baptismal font that day, and just, she was so grown up and mature. And yeah, she was super excited about having a life with Levi here on earth.
And let's just note, little side note, this was also yet again another moment that her boyfriend was not there for some odd reason, some excuse, but also another moment that we're extremely grateful because he was in 0 pictures, but a moment that mattered to her. So again, red flag for anybody listening, like your key moments that matter to you and they don't show up for you, big red flag. So let's fast forward. Eric's sister was blessed with another sweet baby boy and another baptism. And I actually, in my mind, did not think this would be a triggering moment. I mean, it was going to be sad. I know that. Like, I don't ever think that I'm going to go into a situation that reminds me of Hallie and it's not going to be sad. Like, that's how I live. That's the life. You know, things are going to be sad and hard, but it's beautiful. Like, she has this beautiful baby and we're going to go to this baptism. And so we get to the church, which is the exact same church that Levi was baptized. And I had not been there since we lost Hallie. I mean, last time I was there was Levi's baptism. And we get into church and I don't know how to describe this overpowering emotion. And I'm going to start bawling out. I could not stop crying before the thing even started. We're sitting in church. I could just squirmy, like, oh my God. And I don't know, like, part of me thinks, was I feeling like Hallie's like overpowering presence? What was it? But I could not get it together. And of course, I'm thinking this is not going to be a big issue. So I have no Kleenexes. And I feel like I get it under control for a little bit. And then they start the actual baptism. And I mean, like, all I could think of is like, oh my God, I'm like stuck here and I'm sobbing. Like, part of me was like, this is like, people are probably wondering what the hell is wrong with this lady. But every time I looked over at them doing the actual baptism, like, all I could see was Hallie and the joy and like, holy shit, she's not here. she's not here. I mean, I did lean over to Eric. I'm like, you got to give me the keys. Like, I got to get out of here. Like, I cannot be here. And luckily, we had already like made plans to leave right after that to go and get the food ready at their house so that it would be ready when everybody came. And I made it through the baptism, but I could not get it together.
Let me just say that my sister Lauren had brought this to my attention 7 to 10 days before. Now, if you know anything about our relationship, I'm 10 years older than my baby sister, and we weren't close because I had moved when she was like 7, 8. I moved to college. I never came home. But then when our dad died at 52, I was 27 and she was 17. She was a junior in high school. And so I had to become like a pseudo dad to her. I learned a lot about parenting teenagers from parenting my sister as a 17-year-old junior. And I parented like my dad. And anyway, bottom line is I don't listen to her sometimes because I feel like I'm her parent. And in this scenario, she was like, I think this could be a thing for Angie. I'm worried about it. And I was like, no, she's going to be fine. I think it's going to be fine. I don't think you need to worry. You focus on you in the day. Don't even worry about it. Everything's going to be fine. And then this starts happening in church, and I'm like, immediately, like, light bulb goes off. I'm like, crap, I missed that one. I missed that one bad. Lauren got that one right. And okay. And so then we got to the house, and you leave. When Lauren and Matt get there, I'm explaining what's happening. And Lauren's like, I told you that was going to happen. I told you. And I'm like, I know. You were right. I was wrong. But this is where the healthy boundaries come in.
It's hard to predict. Like, that's the thing with, they talk about waves. Like, you honestly sometimes don't know what's going to trigger you and what's going to bring on that wave. But this is why I wanted to share this, because this is the boundary part. So we go to the house and my insides are saying, I just want to go home. Like, I don't want to be around people. I cannot like put on a mask. Like, this is way too hard. I need to go home. But then there's the part of me saying, well, how terrible. Like, this is their baptism and then I'm not there and celebrate. And then they're going to wonder why I wasn't there. And I want to be there for them and this great moment. And it's just like this, but I shut all that down and I'm like, no, it's okay. You can go home and go rest. And then I didn't, it was hard for me to say it to you. Like, I think I just need to go home. And I just didn't have the space or energy.
Proud of you for doing it. I totally understood. I was really grateful for you for helping me set the food up first and getting that ready, because that would have looked awful if I had to do that by myself, because that would not have been good. Even in your boundaries, you still helped me.
Yeah, I did.
And then you headed home.
And those moments, I just want to be close to Hallie, and I don't feel like I can be close to her with the noise all happening around. Like, I want to get deep in that silence and feel connected to her. And because it's a lot more painful, I feel like, to hold it in. So sharing that, if you're on a long grief journey, like I'm 2.5 years in and still triggered and have all these emotions that come over, and that is what a safe boundary looks like, that you don't have to show up for everybody all the time.
I'm proud of you. I think that's fair and great for you to share for other people who are listening. We know we have so many grieving moms. Sometimes some dads are listening. It's okay to set those healthy boundaries.
The other thing I would say about that is that time just jacks with your brain. Like, this whole time, I don't know how else to say it. Like, you lose a lot of concept of time. And so that jacks with your brain. Grief jacks with your brain. I was talking to some moms on my grief group where there's like an actual diagnosis for it. It's almost like your brain sort of has these little strokes where words don't come out and you can't, like, you're misfiring type of thing. And I'm like, oh my God, I have that. And all the moms were like, we all have that. D3 apparently helps. Sunshine. Hey, that is why I always feel better, why I feel fueled on sunshine, because it's good for the soul. But like, if you don't think grief doesn't actually impact your brain, it does. Severe heartbreak jacks with your brain. So think like those are all things that I have learned from all of this. And that, obviously we've said this a million times, you don't ever heal from it. But I will say that you learn a lot of how to carry it, how to be stronger, how to set better boundaries, how to trust God with every part of your being. I mean, you and I talk about that all the time now. I mean, we're trying to royally trust God of like, whew, I'm giving this to you. Like, I probably say this every day. Like, here's my vision. Like, you guys go figure it out because I can't. And I'm just going to trust you that you know better. You put me on this path for a reason. Better make it good. Like,
yeah, it goes back to our podcast from last week with Brent Beshore. If you missed it, we loved it, where he talks about God gives us that internal sense of checking. There's a check inside of us, and there's times when we're like right now giving things to God, and there's times this week where we felt that He's checking us in a direction, and times where He's like, hard stop, that's not where I'm pointing you. So,
yeah,
those things are things that we learn throughout this process.
And learning's not fun either. I mean, this has been a hard fought journey, and I would give anything to unlearn all of this and just have Hallie back. But again, that wasn't the plan. I've also had to learn to be patient. So the real topic of this podcast is, I had said a while back, I kind of had a little bit of a rant. If you receive someone's organs to help you live, write a thank you, like respond back to the family. I understand that there's like guilt associated with that, but especially moms that have lost a child, like you want to know that there was some purpose in their death, that they helped other people. So last week, every day is hard, but this particular day was like flight or fight mode. The whole day, Summer was going through some stuff that we were both stressed about. I was trying to help her navigate that. And so there's just so much on my mind. I had a work call that went to like 5:30 or 6, trying to resolve some challenges. And so I come out of the office and Eric's in the kitchen, and there sits 2 letters from Midwest Transplant, which is the organization that you work with in the hospital and then you stay connected with afterwards.
I typically try to get the mail daily. It's rare that I'm not the one that gets it. I like the mail. I just do. And so I got it that day. And as I'm going through it, I see these 2 what appear to be letters from Midwest Transplant. I know, because Angie has, not just verbally on this podcast, but to me personally in our time together more than once on walks and everything else, expressed her frustration with no one writing her back and what her next step should be. So when I saw these 2 letters, I was cautiously optimistic that maybe God was answering prayers that we had prayed. But you don't know until you. So I brought them in. I also knew Angie was having a bad day, and I thought maybe this will be a good thing. Who knows? And then you came out of your office and opened the letters and...
Well, I said, first of all, why were there 2?
Fair.
Because I will say, through this process, we can get into the whole, it's almost like you're getting a telegraph. That's how antiquated it feels like this process is. And so I'm like, I kind of question, like, are they even getting my letters? So I would call them back and be like, are you sure? Because why no one has written me back. So then there's 2 letters. And I'm like, okay, this is really weird. This is really weird that there's 2. And then you're afraid to get your hopes up. So I told Eric, I don't even know if I want to open them, because it's probably like some flyer.
Yeah, sure.
So I open up the first one and I see that it's actually a letter addressed to me. And of course, then I just start crying and I read it. And then I'm like, well, then what's the second one? Like, this is so weird. And I open up the second one and it's another letter from a recipient. So I thought I would share it with you.
I just want to point out that I wasn't really getting to read the letters because where they were, I was trying to, but more importantly, I was crying as well, but only because I knew how happy you were and how long you had yearned for these letters. So like when you open them and you're like, it's a letter, I just felt myself release tears for you because I knew how badly how much these letters meant to you. And internally, there was like a part of me that felt like I just felt Hallie presence, I think, of like, hey guys, still here. Parts of me are still helping other people actively. So
yeah, the whole thing was overwhelming. I felt like I also couldn't even process it either because I'm coming off this fight or flight day. Then here's these letters, and then there's two of them. What? So I will share with you all the first letter I opened. It says, "Hello, my name is Lakeisha, and I'm a recipient of one of your daughter's kidneys. First, I would like to send my condolences for the loss of your daughter, Hallie. She was absolutely beautiful." I sent pictures the first time I mailed a letter. "I hope that the love and memories you shared with her bring you some comfort. Secondly, I would like to apologize for the delay with this letter. I mailed a letter shortly after receiving your first one. However, it seems that neither you nor the transplant network ever received it, and it was not returned to me either. So I'm not sure what happened to it. A little bit about me and my transplant experience. I'm a 42-year-old female from Missouri. I have a bachelor's degree in business management and a master's in business administration and currently working in the tax financial services industry. I love the Kansas City Chiefs, binge watching TV shows, and traveling. Back in 2013, I was diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease, PKD. My mother was also diagnosed with it when she was a teenager, but unfortunately, my kidney function declined much faster than hers ever did. And by 2021, I had reached end-stage renal failure and started dialysis. A couple months later, I had a double nephrectomy. Both of my kidneys were removed because of how enlarged they had become. And in early 2022, after a few months of healing from my previous surgery, I was moved to an active status on the transplant list. And on November 30th, 2022, I officially received a new kidney, which is kind of crazy to me because Hallie died in the afternoon of November 29th. And so the next day, she got her kidney. Since the beginning of my dialysis and transplant journey, my aunt, who thinks she's hilarious, LOL, has been referring to a new kidney for me as Bert the Bean. And when I finally received a new kidney and we found out that it came from a young lady, she started calling it Bertha Bean. So anytime I see her talk to her, she asks, "How is Bertha doing?" Bertha has been doing amazingly well. All of my labs have been coming back with good results. I'm no longer on dialysis, and I have been able to continue traveling the world. Although I know your family is suffering from her loss, please know that I will forever be grateful for Hallie's courage and selflessness in becoming an organ donor. She not only saved my life, but multiple others as well. I mean, how can you not cry? And, we went for a walk after that, and I'm like, it's just so overwhelming, surreal. Like, a part of me created Hallie, grew her in my belly, and now a part of her is helping another person live who had no kidneys. I mean, it's powerful.
Those kind of things for me are when I can really take a high level view, right? When in doubt, zoom out and know that there is a God and he is working all things for his plan, because that's not a coincidence, right? A lot of times people that don't believe just say, well, life's just one big coincidence. Well, I think that's a scary place to live. I prefer it where God has a plan, and his plan is that Lakeisha has Hallie's kidney so that she can do something amazing. I am hopeful.
So the next letter says, "Dear Angie, my name is Dee, and I am the recipient of Hallie's liver. I was writing to express my deepest gratitude for the incredible gift of life you and your precious daughter Hallie bestowed upon me and my family. I know this gift came at a tremendous cost, and I'm incredibly sorry for your loss. Her decision to donate her organs has given me a second chance at life, and I'm eternally grateful. Words cannot express how thankful I am. I often think of her and cry for you over her loss. I also want to thank you for the first letter that you wrote telling me so much about her and her ambitions and goals, even mentioning her siblings. I know you are so proud of her. Please read this letter to your family and share my heartfelt sorrow and gratitude with them as well. After about a year into my recovery, I was able to travel with my husband to see my first grandson. He was born about a month after the transplant surgery. Unfortunately, I tested positive for the cytomegalovirus right after, and I had to wait to see him. I was put on antiviral medication. It took 6 months or so for the virus to go dormant. And then I had to wait a few months more just to make sure it didn't come back. After testing negative for those months, I finally got the green light to go and we were off. I could not wait. I may not have gotten to be there for his birth and first months of life, but I was there for his first Christmas and first birthday, and I will forever be grateful for Hallie's gift. My daughter and son-in-law live about 900 miles away from me, and this is their first baby. I also have a son who lives just a few blocks from me and was so helpful with my recovery. Anything I wanted, or needed to be done, he would get or do. He still, to this day, stops by after work to check on me. It's been almost 2.5 years since the transplant surgery, and I'm doing quite well. I do my labs monthly now, and they usually come back really good. I've been sick a few times with the normal colds and stuff like that, and that will throw my liver enzymes off. But as soon as I recover from anything, they always go back to normal. Yay. I will admit that scares me sometimes, but I guess it's normal for them to fluctuate when you get sick. My husband and I have always talked about traveling through all the West Coast states and eventually going to Yellowstone Park, something we've always wanted to do. And because of Hallie's gift, that dream may be happening soon. This year, for sure, we have 2 big camping trips planned, a trip to the Ark in Kentucky and a trip to see my grandson. We both love to fish, and there's a big lake near us, and we're planning some fishing trips as well. All in all, things are going really well, and I'm grateful for each and every day, and I will always carry your Hallie in my heart. Thank you for your prayers and well wishes, and I'm sending mine to you and your family as well. I hope that my continued health and happiness will always bring you comfort. I will cherish Hallie's gift for the rest of my life and strive to live it to the fullest with heartfelt gratitude. D. I think we can just wrap the podcast with that.
I think we can too, except you teased all this stuff about Phoenix. So it's a pretty great spot to do it.
Yeah. So that happened. And if you know me, you know I'm also not going to let things go either if I'm passionate about it. So then I did call Midwest Transplant. I'm like, listen, why can't you fast track this stuff? Like, I'm in technology. Why can't you say, hey, I want to be contacted. I'm going to check a box. And then I want to be contacted. I'll check a box. And you instantly connect, because now I want to follow back up with them and talk to these ladies. I mean, how amazing would it be to have an organ recipient of Hallie's be on our podcast? But now I'm like, I got to write this letter. Can we not just automate this stuff?
And they'll take it by horse and snail mail. So they'll ride across country to deliver it. And
I did have some good conversations. I did have some good conversations with the ladies at Midwest Transplant. And I do kind of have them talked into helping speed things up, or I'll be an advocate, whatever they need. But it was interesting because I found out that there's actually another layer to it. So think about this. We have a transplant center we work with that handled us in the hospital receiving it. Well, then you would think that's the same organization that handles from the organ recipient. It's not. They have their own transplant center. So to be an organ recipient, you have to be on a list. And it has to be at a certain hospital that will do that. So University of Missouri is one of those hospitals where Hallie was at. So then Dee and Lakeisha, who received Hallie's organs, they have their own organ transplant center. So Midwest Transplant gets our letters, matches them up, mails them to their organ center. Then they disperse them out. And they all have different rules and processes. Some, their first letter, they'll hold for a year and won't send them to the recipient. And then they're imagine the recipient has just had surgery. You get sent home with all these papers on like how to write letters to the organ donor. And it's just like, okay, we can
Got to be a
do
better
better.
system.
We can do better. So I had that going on. And then we had this gift Eric gave me at Christmas, which I absolutely love, was a photo shoot with Phoenix. So we've been waiting till it's nicer weather and it's green outside, and we've rescheduled it once already. And so it's just the irony in it all is why I'm sharing this, because Hallie and I used to do photo shoots all the time at the barn. I mean, it'd be random. And she's like, I'm going to curl my hair. Let's go do photo shoots. And so I love taking pictures. I like being behind the camera.
Angie is really good at photography. She catches things that other people aren't looking for. And that's what I think makes her a beautiful photographer. And so, but you're also beautiful in front of the camera. And so let's get this photo shoot. Let's make it amazing. I'm feeling good, thinking you're going to really feel Hallie's presence. And we're going to have these award-winning Angie and horse photos that are going to like hang proudly in our home. And we may still have that. I bet we do. I bet our photographer makes sure that's the case.
She's got a few good ones. I saw some on her camera. I'm like, okay, well, as long as you got a couple. But I think we all do this. We all set ourselves up for disappointment sometimes because our expectations are high. And I'm going to blame Hallie on this. Like, she made it so easy when I would take pictures. It was like effortless. The horse would stand there and she'd just do whatever she wanted. She'd stand on the back of the horse, with holding on to nothing. I was not there for that, or I would have lost my mind. So I'm going in like, oh, this is going to be beautiful. And I am going to feel her presence. And I'm going to take pictures with Liza, my niece, who's mini Hallie. And she's going to be the one that actually is going to ride Phoenix. And so our trainer last minute calls me and says, I have to take my dog to the vet hospital, like to the ER, because there's something wrong with it. And I don't know if I'll be back in time. Like, oh, it's no big deal. It's fine. We're just going to take some pictures. And the benefit later I would have realized of having her there is that Phoenix worships her. She follows that trainer around like a little puppy and does whatever. And so I sort of just had that expectation. Well, I was totally wrong. It felt like a complete shit show, disaster in my mind, because she would not cooperate, would not stand there when we were trying to take pictures. We were out in this grassy area. All she wanted to do was eat grass. I had one of Hallie's white rope halters that she loved. She'd always used it when she took pictures. And so, because it just pops on horses. So we had that on her first. And I mean, she was so hard to like have her head up, would not listen. Anyway, I'm like, we're going to have to switch out that halter, and it's going to have to be one that is like a little bit tighter, stronger on her nose. So when we pull her up, she like listens. So we switch out the halter. That helped a little bit, but I mean, it was stressing me out. And then I was almost like, I was just telling myself a negative story. Like, oh my God, why would you think that you were going to be as comfortable around a horse as Hallie? And there's aspects like I want Hallie to be proud of me. And we laugh because we always say, if I feel like I'm doing something great and fighting for her, that she's like, that's my mom. Look at my mom. Because that's how she would holler at her brothers and sisters at games and stuff. And this time I'm thinking she's like, oh my God, people look away. Like, this is embarrassing. They are knuckleheads. And I just felt defeated, totally defeated when I left. But also it reminded, like, that's life. You're humbled often. And we set these expectations in our head. And again, we're not in control. And our disappointment is only around what we imagine, what we created. And so it's this sort of cycle that we all find ourselves in. You set the expectations, you just get disappointed, you doubt yourself. And then guess what happens? You get back up. Like, all right, I'm going to do this again.
I appreciate your honesty, because so many of our listeners absolutely love you. And we know from the podcast that I tell myself negative stories all the time. But for you to acknowledge that you do the same thing, and you tell yourself stuff, and I'm like, Ange, you're the only one thinking that. Nobody else is thinking that. And so I know what's going to happen is that these photos are going to come back and people are going to be like, what in the world was she talking about? This is beautiful. But I know that's
It's
not
our
the
photographer.
point.
Well, I
The
did
point is
tell
that
her.
you wanted the horse to do the things and to feel natural
I wanted
with
to
it.
enjoy
I
it,
get
and I was
Sure.
like stressed out, like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to control this horse. And I know if the trainers are listening, they're probably like, yes, Angie, because you have to be the boss and you're afraid of the horse. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, you have to like not be afraid. So this whole thing is like an internal job. Like, I have to get to a point where I'm not afraid. And the only choice I have in the matter is to keep going out there, keep showing up, and keep trying to face my fears, which is also the irony, what I do every day.
And I see you every time we go out there and you're better with the horse than you were the last time.
Yeah.
And you do things that you didn't do 6 months ago and you didn't even think about doing a year ago. So
Yeah.
I think it's coming along quite well. And I can't wait to see all the photos.
I did tell her, now don't
You're gorgeous.
I did tell the photographer, now don't just send me all the good ones. I do want some bad ones so that I could post them. And she's like, normally I could help people, like if they have a baby or, kids aren't paying attention. She's like, I don't even know what to tell you to do. Like I have no help when it comes to a horse.
It's funny. That's funny.
So that's our life update. It's a lot. But
Yeah.
That's what we always have a lot going on.
Yeah, I'm super excited that we did get the letters. And I know that it just feels good to know that part of Hallie, part of you is helping other people. So it's pretty amazing. All right. Well, what are you grateful for this week? Because while we've had a lot of busyness going on, there's plenty of things to be grateful for as well.
I'm grateful for Lakeisha and Dee that they did take the time to respond and write letters, and that I'm just grateful that they're doing well. I'm grateful that Hallie's decision in April of that year to be an organ donor helped them live. I mean, it's a painful, beautiful thing to experience. And I hope that one day I can actually see them, meet them, talk to them about it. But I'll just put that out in the universe, and God's in control. And if he wants that to happen, then it will be orchestrated.
Yeah. I'm grateful this week for just time with all of our kids in different ways. Got to spend some with each of them. But Carter's home from college for the summer. And so him and I went to dinner last night and we mowed the yard together, and he rode with us at the game today. It's good on one-on-one time. We got to talk some about what's next for him, what it could look like for him from a school perspective, from a work perspective, from a dating perspective, all those different things. And you always get the opportunity to do that. I know a lot of dads sit with their boys and they just watch the game on TV. Yeah, we watch the game, but we also talked about things that are important. And then at the end of the day, he's just a really funny kid. He knows it. And there's not anybody in our house that wouldn't tell you that he's just super fun to be around. So loving the time with all my kids, but in the last 24 to 36 hours, I've really gotten some good time one-on-one with Carter, and that's been really nice. So that's what I got this week. Well, with that, we should probably put you back to bed and let you sleep for another 8 to 10 hours.
I think so.
Really recover. So
yeah,
I could use it as well. All right. Well, we hope that all of you have a wonderful week. We appreciate all of you spending time with us. And I'm excited because next weekend is Father's Day weekend. And we are going to have an episode with myself and my 3 kiddos, Lexi, Carter, and Dane. And we're going to be talking about all kinds of things. Good, the bad, the ugly. And we'll see how that goes. So we look forward to seeing you next week. Have a wonderful week, and God bless. Welcome to this episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. I'm Eric.
And I'm Angie.
We are married with a ton of kids.
We have 6 kids total. He has 3 and I have 3.
My name's Hallie, and I love riding horses.
I'm Lexi, and I love agriculture.
My name's Carter, and I love eating.
My name's Chase, and I love lifting weights.
My name's Summer, and I love spending my parents' money.
I'm Dane, and I love baseball.
Our show is about our blended, blessed, and always a mess life. And our hope is if you find yourself in the same situation we are in, that by sharing our story, all the fun and all the mess, the challenges we are experiencing, it will give you some inspirations, laughs, and community, knowing you are not alone in this mess.
We appreciate you spending time with us. Let's dive in.